Imagine walking into a store and seeing everything 20% cheaper than last month. Sounds amazing. Your money goes further, you can buy more stuff, and life gets more affordable. But what if I told you that this scenario, called deflation, could actually destroy an entire economy and leave millions unemployed? Hi everyone, I'm George, and today we're diving into one of economics' most dangerous misconceptions, the idea that falling prices are always good. And please accept this video as an apology for the ridiculous duration of the previous misconceptions video, although I'm pretty sure you now know what is a good inflation rate. And if you don't, I will link the previous video down below so you can watch it. Now, let's jump into our deflated, in terms of time, video. Deflation is when the general price level of goods and services falls across an economy. It's exactly the opposite of inflation, where prices rise. On the surface, deflation seems like a consumer's dream. Your purchasing power increases because the same amount of money buys more stuff. But here is where it gets a little bit tricky. There is a massive difference between temporary price drops in specific industries and economy-wide deflation that becomes embedded in people's expectations. The Bank of Spain warns that although lower prices may seem like a good thing, deflation can in fact be highly damaging to the economy. To understand why deflation is so dangerous, we need to meet Irving Fisher, an economist who figured this out by the hard way during the Great Depression. Fisher developed what's called debt deflation theory, and it's absolutely terrifying. Here is how it works. When prices fall, the real value of debt actually increases. Think about it as if you owe $100,000 on your mortgage and deflation hits. You still owe the same $100,000, but now the money is worth more, because everything else costs less. Fisher observed that the more the debtors pay, the more they owe, because each dollar of debt repayment becomes worth more in terms of real terms. This creates a vicious cycle. People try to pay off their debts by selling assets, which drives prices down further. Businesses see their profits collapse, so they fire workers. Unemployed people can't spend money, which drives demands down even more. And round we go, spiraling deeper into economic disaster. But wait, there's more. Deflation also messes with consumer psychology in a devastating way. The Bank of Spain explains it perfectly. If you expect the price of a product, such as a car or a TV, to decrease, you delay the purchase until the prices fall. This might seem rational for individuals, but when everyone does it simultaneously, it becomes an economic nightmare. Companies see their sales plummet, forcing them to cut prices even further and lay off workers. Those unemployed workers then have even less money to spend, creating what economists call a deflationary spiral. A self-reinforcing cycle where decreasing prices leads to lower production, lower wages, and further price decreases. Don't think this is just theoretical. History shows us exactly how devastating deflation can be. During the Great Depression, the United States experienced an economic bloodshed. Real GDP per capita plummeted by nearly 30%. Unemployment soared from 3% to over 25%, and prices fell by nearly 25%. The deflation made everything worse. People who had borrowed money during the boom years suddenly found their debt burdens crushing them as the real value of their debts increased. Banks failed as borrowers defaulted in masses, and the entire financial system nearly collapsed. More recently, Japan has been trapped in deflation for over 3 decades since their asset bubble burst in the 1990s. Despite keeping interest rates near zero and trying every monetary policy trick by the book, Japan struggled to escape what became known as the lost decade. An aging population that saved more and spent less created a self-perpetuating cycle of low demand and falling prices. So here is another terrifying aspect of deflation. It can make monetary policy completely powerless. When deflation hits and interest rates fall to zero, central banks lose their main tool for stimulating the economy. This is called the liquidity trap. Injecting more money into the economy has no effect because people just hoard cash instead of spending or investing. Even worse, deflation can increase real interest rates even when nominal rates are at zero, making borrowing more expensive in real terms and further discouraging economic activity. Now, to be fair, not all deflation is bad. Economists distinguish between good deflation caused by productivity improvements and bad deflation caused by collapsing demand. When deflation results from technological advances that make production more efficient, it can actually support economic growth. But the dangerous kind, the kind that devastated the Great Depression and trapped Japan, comes from falling demand and creates those vicious cycles we discussed. So, the next time someone tells you that falling prices are always good for the economy, remember the deflation paradox. What looks like a benefit on the surface can hide devastating economic mechanisms underneath. This is why modern central banks target moderate inflation rather than deflation. They've learned from history's harsh lessons. Irving Fisher, the economist who lived through the Great Depression, put it the best. Without intervention, deflation can continue going deeper and deeper in a vicious spiral for many years until it causes needless and cruel bankruptcy, unemployment, and starvation. The bottom line, sometimes in economics, what seems obviously good can be surprisingly dangerous. Deflation is one of those counterintuitive phenomena that reminds us why we need to look beyond surface-level thinking when it comes to complex economic systems. So, if this video changed how you think about economics, hit the subscribe button and let me know in the comments what other economic misconceptions you would like us to tackle next. See you next week. Bye bye.